guess in a week with so many outside distractions and conversations about not the game, how's the focus been internally this week from the team?
It's great. And I think the only time, when the players did media, they had to answer some different things. But we're ready for a great football game, and this is our life moving forward, right? It's going to be all about just being a good team and the things that come along with a good team. We're facing a good team. It's a 5-1 versus 4-2 team game. That's a heck of a game. So it should be a great night.
This is your first repeat trip to a Big Ten road venue.
Is that true?
Since you've been here.
Wow.
What do you remember about that environment a couple of years ago, and maybe what about that could be helpful this time?
Well, it was an elite environment. They had a gold out. The crowd was electric. So we've practiced all week with insane crowd noise to be prepared for it, and we're counting on Husker Nation to show up and even out the volume to a degree. But there'll become a time like last game where silent cadence down inside the 10 where it's just what it is in the Big Ten and big time football. And we prepared since camp, so we do silent all the time, but we've done silent this week as well, so we'll be ready if needed. The rest of it, it's kind of once the game gets started, who blocks and tackles better.
Some of that crowd is going to be friends and family of Emmett Johnson. Just how excited are you for him to have the opportunity to play?
Very excited. He's a guy that could easily be a captain for us based on the voting, and so he'll be a captain next year. So just excited for him to have a chance to go back home, play in front of those people. I think our Friday walkthrough will be at his high school, which I think is really cool. And my only thing to him has been just keep it football. Like don't get too high, don't get too low. Stay neutral and just play each play the way Emmett's capable of. And if you look at the last two games, when it comes to like carries with all of our backs, not scrambles and things like that, but carries, we're averaging 7.1 yards a carry versus an excellent run defense. So we'll need Emmett to be at his best.
What makes you feel like this group is just better equipped to handle the 5-1 start and keep the momentum going compared to what happened last year?
Yeah, I don't know that we didn't even handle it well last year. I just think Indiana was better than us. I think Ohio State was better than us, and I think that then did it. I think we've worked very hard this year on embracing the pressure and the challenge of things, playing each team as a nameless, faceless opponent, and studying them like we study them, like we know all the great things about Minnesota. This is a team that I told the team today. This is a team that I highly respect. They have a great brand. Coach Fleck preaches row the boat and all that. They believe in that and they play that way. They've gotten down the last two games and they've come right back, just like us. So it's just about playing this team and playing this game and just blocking everything else. So, but I think the biggest thing is that we're just a better team than we were last year. Our players are better. They're playing better. We're playing more complimentary. But nothing that happened the first 6 weeks carries over to this week. So it'll be about what we do this week versus them.
Cam made his debut at Minnesota 2 years ago. How have you seen the guys, him included, who were on that team grow from that game to now?
In every single way. I mean, I've grown. The staff's grown. The players have grown. When you play as a freshman, especially with a new coach, really everyone that year, they were like a freshman for me. You don't know what you don't know yet. I didn't know what I didn't know yet in terms of Big Ten, Nebraska. We know exactly what it is. And so the biggest thing for us is now we can just keep it football, right? Like just block, tackle, execute, win the turnover battle. All the things that we preach, that every coach really preaches, to be quite honest. Now we just got to go do it.
You've had a run of games against freshmen quarterbacks. What sort of stood out about some of the young talent in this league and how Drake Lindsey, what was impressed you about him as well?
Yeah, you see a lot of teams moving away from let's bring in a one-year guy and starting to say, hey, let's go get a great freshman. And these freshmen are saying to themselves like, hey, he's a redshirt freshman. Obviously, hey, there's great opportunities at all kinds of schools. And so I thought all the players we've played against have done a great job. I think the thing with the quarterback we're facing this week is he's got a big-time arm. You go back to high school. I studied when they're freshman quarterbacks. I watch their high school film and watch everything. A guy can throw the ball 80 yards. He can make every single throw. He's going to throw the ball up for 50 catches. It'll be their wideouts versus our DBs down the field. And so he's not necessarily a guy who can move, but he's a gamer. When I say move, he's not a guy who's going to run and kind of like the young man from Michigan State, Michigan, or Maryland. But he's going to get the ball out. He plays really fast with his brain, makes a bunch of really good pre-snap checks, we'll have to hold our disguises inside of 15 seconds because, that way they can't. Young quarterbacks you like to talk to, like, we don't talk to Dylan. We don't say, hey, it looks like it's one high. Dylan's being trained. We're training Dylan to be an NFL quarterback. We don't steal signals and say, hey, they're in this coverage. We don't tell them the coverage. It's up to Dylan to recognize the keys each week. And so when we face a freshman quarterback, it's always about, hey, can you disguise inside of 15 seconds? We anticipate most teams that go against us go tempo. We have to knock out the tempo. And I think the biggest thing when you face a young quarterback is you got to stop the run so that they don't have a run game to get to. And really one run, outside zone, has been the one run that's hurt us. Outside zone and quarterback draw are the runs that have hurt us. They're an outside zone team. So we have to do a great job versus their outside zone to turn it into one-dimensional, just like every team does. And but don't minimize the fact that this is like a young star, and he's playing really well. And he's not even a freshman anymore, really redshirt freshman. He's played 6 games, so they'll have him ready.
I know they've been working Darius Taylor back from that injury too, but you go into a game like we're going to get 100 sort of deal.
Yeah, we don't ever. One thing I learned during COVID, I don't ever say to myself like, this guy might be out. This guy, like, we're just playing this guy's number, this guy's number, this guy's number, because you don't want to underestimate the backups when they come in at any position. And I'm assuming that everyone's going to be, that's the one thing, going back to the first question I was asked about handling, this position. It's about understanding that every team's going to play at 100 against you, just assuming that, and not being like, well, this team's this and that team's that and this team's this. Like, that's losing mentality. Winning mentality is everyone's going to be at 100 against us, so I need to be at 100. And we've had a physical week, and we've also had a week to prepare them as well, get their bodies. So I'm excited.
John Butler shared his frustration with the pass rush against Maryland. How have you seen the defensive front respond to that challenge this week?
I didn't think we had a problem with pass rush versus Maryland. Yeah, I think John's highly demanding, which is awesome. I thought we had a bunch of pressures. He's doing a good job just getting the ball out. I'm happy with our defensive front, and when it mattered. The big thing to me is, like, people pay attention to sacks and pressures. I really look at, like, fourth quarter pocket integrity as like one of the number one things. Like, who can protect, who can rush in the fourth quarter when the game's on the line. It's hard to get to the quarterback on the first drive, and sometimes you do. Sometimes, like Michigan State, we jump over the tailback and you hit him with a blitz, right? But 4-man rush, getting to the quarterback when there's time, and then dealing with, even if you get the quarterback off the spot. Not happened sometimes last week. We didn't get a sack, but Maryland's quarterback was able to get outside the pocket, but had to throw from an uncomfortable deal. So I think that the guys will do a great job.
How's
Malcolm?
Yeah, Malcolm's out. Malcolm will not play this week.
I was going to ask about Pritchett too. How's he come along?
He's great, 100%. Yep.
Hey, PJ Fleck shared a story about you guys going to a Kenny Chesney concert this summer. I guess can you just describe your relationship and what led you guys to do the show together?
And we didn't go to the show together. We both showed up there and saw each other, and his wife Heather and my wife Julie are friends. PJ's like one of the guys. Like, I always put coaches into 2 buckets, really. Like, guys I'd let Bryant go play for, guys I'd let Vivian Leona go play for, and they would 100% go play for PJ Fleck. I think he teaches character and a mindset as well as anything else, which, we all want our kids to go to the NFL, but I want them to also be great adults, and I think he does a great job of that. I became a head coach at Temple either the year before or the same year as he became a head coach at Western Michigan. So when you go to kind of all the things, head coach meetings, all these things, like, we were always there, always saw each other, had some connections that way, and just a guy that I gravitated towards. And then when I left Temple and went to Baylor, I came back from Baylor because the draft was actually in Philadelphia that year, so I went back to Temple almost. Hassan Reddick was going in the first round. He had a wide out of Western Michigan going in the first round, so we all hung out together while we were there. So, it's one of those deals where I walked in the Kenny Chesney concert this year. Wish and I took our wives. Kenny was a great friend of ours who came to do the concert at Carolina, came here. When Kenny comes to do a concert in Lincoln at PBA, he hangs out in the weight room with our guys for like 3 days. He's awesome. And so went to see the concert, saw Kenny, saw Dan Mullen, and then we just latched up and hung out all night. So really cool. And then, like I said, that's for me to call the other coach and say, hey, I think we should do this together. Means it has to be someone that I know is about more than just football. We're definitely, he's all about ball, but he's also about way more than just football, and that's why I respect him.
Coach.
Thank you, guys.